Welcome to the first episode of Chatting with Pros, a podcast where we sit down with professional athletes to uncover their stories, how they got started, the big moments in their careers, and even the behind-the-scenes realities of training, money, and life off the field. I'm your host, Kenji Farre, and today I'm excited to be joined by my friend Eero Vasa, a Finnish professional tennis player with a career-high doubles ranking of 237 in the world and a career-high singles ranking of 502. He's represented his country Finland on several occasions, including the Davis Cup, which is the World Cup of tennis. Outside the court, he holds a bachelor's from Cornell University, which is actually where we met as we were both studying there at the time. So thank you, Eero, for joining us.
Oh, pleasure. Pleasure to be here.
So just wanted to start way back with your origins. How did it all get started, and when did you first pick up a racket?
I think I was around 4 years old. A friend of my dad's son started playing tennis, and then he invited me as well to come and try out. And I guess that's where it all started.
So you just started kind of for fun, and at what point do you start to think, I'm maybe better than the average here, and potentially I can go to D1 or even pro here?
I mean, I played football as well, or European football, and I tried ice hockey as well. And I think around 12, I was getting pretty good at tennis. But I was still playing football on the side, and then I had to when I was 15, I kind of had to make the choice of choosing only one, and then at that point it was all in basically.
And so around 15, is that roughly when juniors tennis starts? What does juniors mean in the tennis world?
Yeah, I mean, I started traveling abroad already at 12, but it wasn't that much. But then when you get to like 14s, usually then you start playing more and more. I think it's still called Tennis Europe tournaments, still 16s, but then when you turn 16s, then you kind of start playing the actual juniors, try to get your ranking up. And then I was aiming to get to junior slams. I did play Wimbledon qualies. I was a few spots out from French Open qualies. But yeah.
And during that time, I guess in your age group, which is 97 born roughly, any guys that stood out that are currently maybe playing top tier pro?
There's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. It would take a long time to name them, but let's say in the top 50, there's probably 15 guys that were playing the same tournament as me.
So we're talking maybe some of the Americans like Taylor Fritz or Tommy Paul?
Yeah, all of those guys. All the Americans, Francis, Taylor. I'm sorry, the dog. I'm gonna put him away because he's
for those listening, Eero's got a small dog going below his feet right now. There he
goes.
He's
annoyed that I'm not getting. He's not getting attention. Especially I was away for a tournament last year, and now he's like, "You need to give me attention." Like I'm gonna put him away because otherwise it's not gonna work out. So give me a second.
Going back kind of to the junior scene, you mentioned a lot of the big names that are currently in the top 10, top 20. Did you get a chance to play against many of them yourself?
Yes, I played against. For example, Tsitsipas, I played Shapovalov, I played Tommy Paul. There's a lot of them. I can't even name them all. I did play a lot of juniors, so naturally I would play against many of them.
And did they stand out at the time? Were they maybe a bit different to the others, or?
Yeah, I'd say they were a step above in terms of just tennis level.
Yeah, and just I guess it's around the age of 18. Is that the cutoff for being a junior?
Yes, yeah. So when you turn 18, you still have your last year to play. And some people, let's say if they were 17 and they were already top 20, usually when they're 18, they already start transitioning to the pros, like start playing futures or ITFs, and then maybe they choose to play only the slams and the bigger tournaments.
Can you just quickly explain the different tiers there are in professional tennis? I feel like a lot of people just know the ATP.
Yeah, so when you go pro or you start playing adult tennis, there's the ITF level, which right now there's either you play the 15Ks or the 15,000, which if you win, you get 15 points. Then there's the 25Ks, which now they actually increased price money wise to 30Ks, but points are still 25. And then after that, you go to ATP Challenger level, and they have 50s, 75s, 100s, 125s. And again, the number means the amount of points you would get if you win the tournament. And then after that, you have the ATP Tour with 250s, 500s, Masters, 1000s, and then the Grand Slams.
And in your particular scenario, when you were coming out of the junior scene, you decided to play Division One tennis in the US. Can you kind of walk us through that decision? Did you feel like maybe your level wasn't quite there at the time to go directly to the pro scene?
Yeah, I mean, I was almost a top 50 junior, which gives good opportunities in the college scene. A lot of schools really want to take you as their player. With the coach that I had at the time, we discussed a long time. I was not really a fan of the college scene at the time, but I mean, since then it has improved a lot, like a crazy amount. But he just said, like, I think you should change the environment a little bit. I was just being stuck. I was not playing bad. Like, I had some really good wins, but I needed to change something. Not only tennis-wise, but I guess also grow up as a person. And then he said, like, I can give you some school suggestions. He knew a lot of the college coaches. And then I was like, yeah, sure, let's do it. And then I ended up going.
And what do you think the level was like compared to the junior scene? You know, you were close to the top 50 area as a junior. So what was the big difference there?
I think at first it surprised me how high the level was in the US. I mean, again, that was 8 years ago, more or less. No, even more. Yeah, no, around 8 years ago when I started. And I think it surprised me that a lot of, especially the US guys who I'd never heard of, didn't play juniors, only played in the US. They were really good. I think the college environment is very competitive, which makes everybody quite good, you know, like even guys playing number 4 or number 5 at average schools are good players. And I mean, after that, the level in the US has gone up insanely. Like, it's crazy. Like, I keep watching. My brother is still at San Diego, and I watched like 2 schools that were barely top 20, and out of the 12 guys playing singles, I think 8 or 9 of them had either won a 15K or been in a final, you know, which was unheard of going back 8 years. But yeah, I think the level was higher than I expected.
And I guess for those that don't really aren't familiar with the student athlete lifestyle, so what does that mean? Does it mean you also go to class, or you just play tennis as part of the university, or what's that like?
Yeah, you go to school like any other guy. Obviously, if you're traveling for matches, then you're excused. But if you're at school, you go to class in the morning or in the afternoon, and then your practice schedule is kind of molded with your school schedule. Also, it depends which school you go to. Like, I know some other schools maybe have less, you need to be in class a little bit less, but
Yeah. I mean, I feel like when we were at Cornell, it was pretty rigorous, and you had to take the same tests as everyone else.
Yes.
And on top of that, you had to actually train and deliver on the court. So that can be easy. Yeah.
No, it was stressful. I think Cornell especially, they were very strict with being in person in class, and they were not very lenient towards being excused unless you were actually traveling. Also, all the tests were in person before COVID, you know, and I was struggling, not gonna lie, with all the practice, and Ivy League school was difficult, but luckily I had you doing some of my Excel work with me, because otherwise I was not passing that class without you, to be honest.
Well, you got it done. You got your degree, and moved past that. So
Yeah.
just going forward a bit to post university. I know you did your master's in Pepperdine, and after that, you made the decision to just start playing tennis professionally. In terms of that, can you walk us through what your day in the life is like as a pro tennis player?
Sure, I'll correct you first. I didn't do the masters in the end. Because it
Okay,
didn't
sorry
work
about
out, but that's irrelevant. I just did classes to be eligible. I mean, I did have a surfing class. I did have a film class, so I did make it easier for myself. But I was more than happy with that. But yeah, now I'm playing full time, traveling full time, practicing full time. I mean, daily schedule is, if I'm at home, usually try to get 6 days of the week. You try to get as much practice as you can. Depends, obviously, if you've been traveling, if you're tired, but every day you go to the gym or do something off the court, and then every day at least once you go on the tennis court. And then if you're traveling, then you just try to win as many matches as possible.
Yeah. Can you tell us a bit more about the travel schedule as a tennis player? I think most people don't realize just how often you have to travel.
Yeah, so I'd say people aim to play between 25 and 35 tournaments out of the year. I'd say 27 or 28 is probably the average, with players playing ITFs and challengers. I think when you get to the ATP level, you play less tournaments, but you still try to get in close to 30 tournaments, which means you are traveling a lot. Depends also from where you're from. Like, a lot of countries have a lot of tournaments. I think France, Portugal, Germany, the bigger tennis countries have more tournaments, which makes it easier for players from those countries because they can stay at home or don't need to travel as far away. But I'd say I'm probably 20 to 25 weeks abroad, because we don't have that many tournaments in Finland. So
That's crazy. Yeah.
yeah.
And what's that mean in terms of hotels, flights, etc.? Is it something that you have to sort out on your own and just get there and figure it out?
Yeah, I mean, if you play challengers, they have official hotels. I mean, every tournament has to have an official accommodation. You're
Okay.
not, it's not forced to stay there, but usually it's most likely the best option. Sometimes you might find an Airbnb to stay cheaper, but challengers have hospitality included, so you obviously want to stay in those hotels because it's free. But if you play ITFs, you have to kind of figure out yourself if it's better to stay at an Airbnb or a different hotel than the official one. But traveling, getting flights especially, you need to sort out on your own. Getting to the tournaments when you land in the specific country, then that also depends. Some challengers have airport pickup. Most of them don't really, so you have to catch a train or a bus, because not often is it if it is in the city where you're flying to.
Right. I mean, you might end up, you land in Paris, but it doesn't mean the tournament is in
Yeah.
Paris, right? It could be like 1, 2 hours away, which you just have to figure out on your own how to get there. You might not even speak the language, right? So yeah, it must be pretty stressful.
No, it is. I'll take, for example, I just came in from Sweden yesterday, and the tournament was a 4-hour train ride from Stockholm to the north. So like,
Oh, wow.
so it's not easy. You might be, oh, you're from Finland, you go to Sweden, it's easy, it's an hour flight. No, it took me basically the entire day to travel, which is annoying, but you get used to it.
Yeah. And I feel like sometimes it's not very clear, but once you suppose, you go to a tournament, first round doesn't work out, you lose that game. There's no point in you staying there, right? You just basically move on to the next place.
Yeah, I mean, that's the brutal part of tennis. Like, if you lose, you're out. There's no round robins, no consolation or losers bracket. It's, you lose, you're out. That's why I do enjoy playing doubles as well, because usually then if you lose singles early, you try to make it deep in doubles. At least you make it worth it. But yeah, if you lose, you kind of go next. You go next place, or you go home in between. Depends. Again, you need to do travel. You need to plan your travel accordingly. Like, is it worth going home for a few days? Is it worth going already to the next place? If I go to the next place, do I get to practice there before the tournament starts? Because I'm there very early. A lot of planning.
Yeah, that's crazy. And I think the only exception to that is maybe the Davis Cup, which you've gotten the chance to represent Finland for, and just playing as a team instead of as an individual. Can you kind of explain how that's different?
I mean, those weeks are the best weeks out of the year because you're not playing for yourself anymore. It gets kind of lonely sometimes when you're traveling, even if you have someone with you, because you're always just alone on the court. So yeah, not playing for yourself. You have a coach on the court with you, the captain obviously, and then just being as a team. You get to spend time with the team, and usually the weeks are all also a little bit nicer. Hotels are nicer. You'll get better food and better treatment, and they take care of you because, again, you just playing for the team. Team sports is always a little different.
Right. And just speaking about the Davis Cup, a few years ago, there were some changes to the structure of the Davis Cup. Can you explain what they did and whether you like it more or less now?
Yeah, so what they changed is basically when you get to the quarterfinal stage, all the teams get together in one place and they play it out there. Whereas before it was always either a home match or an away match. And then even the final was either a home match or a away match. Depending if, let's say, Finland plays against Sweden. If we played them 15 years ago in Finland, when we draw them next time, it would be in the other place. And then if the teams never played each other, then it's a coin toss who gets to host.
Okay.
But now they changed it, so the final 8, they call it, is in one place.
I see. So that's really the main difference, and it becomes more like a normal tournament in a way, I guess.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons was just to fit it better in the calendar. I'm sure there's also monetary reasons, but I don't really follow that. Just play, not really my concern. But I'm sure there's a lot of reasons why they made it. If it's better or worse, I don't really know. I think. Could be either.
And going into some specific games you played against former top 10, top 20, top 30 players like Shapovalov, Echeverry, or Dan Evans, where at the time you were around ranked 500, 600 in the world, which you did surprisingly well to take them pretty much all, I think, to the tiebreak, at least of the first set. So can you tell us a bit about what the level was like?
Yeah, I mean, I get to play all the 3 matches in Manchester last year when we got to the round of 16, which was they also changed that actually. This year they changed it differently, but last year was still, you had like round of 16 was round robins in 4 places with 4 teams. And I got to play all the 3 singles, and I managed to get into the tiebreak in the first set in all of those 3. I mean, it's what made the difference is the experience. Like those guys, they knew like, yeah, I'm gonna take care of this somehow. I don't really know how to explain. I think it's just purely experience. Like they've been in that position a billion times, whereas for me, yeah, okay, I've been in that like situation, but not against guys like that. I think that's the main difference.
So looking at it from a more technical perspective, you don't think there's much of a difference in how well you can hit maybe a forehand or a backhand or a serve? You think it's just something more mental and experience-based?
Yeah, 100%. I think there are a lot of guys in 5, 4, 5, 600s that maybe might even play better tennis than even top 200 guys. But it's just in your head. How do you win matches? That's kind of what really matters. Or how well do you play all year long? Like these guys play at 80% level all year long. Yeah, of course you have some good days and terrible days,
Right.
but the average, like their consistency is what makes them top 200 or top 100, and I think that's what every player who's trying to get to the top is trying to achieve. How do I try to bring my level up slowly by slowly? Not your peak level. Like, I think there's a million guys who can hit the ball well, but how often can you do it,
Right.
I think that's the main thing. And then again, like, you might have unbelievable fighting spirit, or you're a little more creative than others. Like, how do you use those strengths that you might have to get you up there?
And looking at the overall trend in tennis, it seems like the players are getting taller and taller, especially in the top 10. Before, maybe you used to have guys like David Ferrer or Kei Nishikori, which were, I think they weren't even 6 foot tall. But now it seems like they're all about 6'4" on average. Does it seem to be a bit of a trend where they're getting taller and taller?
I don't know that, but I know the conditions are getting slower, so I guess they're trying to fight that with the change. And there's been a lot of discussion about balls and courts being, and like conditions overall being slower than 5-10 years ago. And everybody, not only tennis but sports in general, like, athletes are stronger and better physically, and they work harder, they know more. Like, science has gone up so much that people know how to get more out of the human body, and it transfers to all sports.
And what do you mean there by, like, it's slower? What's that mean?
Let's say you hit a serve at 220 kilometers an hour,
Right?
and if the court is fast, the ball is not coming back. But then they make the court a little bit more slower by not making it as slippery or whatever,
Okay.
It doesn't really matter. You can hit the ball at 300 kilometers an hour, but the court slows the ball enough so there's actually tennis to be played, Like, courts and balls 5 years ago were faster, and you can see the points are getting longer. But it's not only the conditions. Like, you can see people are in better physical shape. You look at Sinner and Alcaraz, they hit harder than anyone ever, and still they hit 10-15 balls every point. And you're like, how is this possible? They're just physically so strong and fast, and that way, if you would make the conditions faster, then the points would get shorter again.
Right. Makes sense. And in terms of diets, do you do anything in particular? Do you just eat normally? Supplements? Is there anything there that you like to do?
I don't really follow any specific diet. I just try to eat healthy. I know what's good for me, depending on if I'm practicing, if I'm in tournaments. I just need to remember to keep eating enough and healthy, Like, you can, we are tennis players, any athletes, we work out and train so much or play so much that you don't really have to worry about, I can't eat a burger, you can. It's just, when do you eat it, Like, if I have an off day, you can eat as much junk food as you want. It doesn't really matter, because then you burn so many calories that you just need to make sure you get enough calories in, but the right kind of calories,
One of the more unusual things about tennis is that you do train against your rivals. So you train against other professional tennis players, whereas in sports like soccer, this wouldn't really happen. You wouldn't train against another team. So can you explain a bit more about what that dynamic is like?
Luckily, there's so many tennis players in the world that not very often it happens, Like, let's say if I'm at home, I practice with the guys from Finland. You practice with juniors. You practice with local guys who might not be traveling the world. So that's not really an issue. And then when you're in tournaments, it's usually just you find someone to warm up with, or someone who's already out of the tournament if you want to practice a little more. Hitting with someone who you will play in that tournament is... you might hit with someone who you might end up playing in the final, for example, but it doesn't really matter because it's only to warm up or to practice with. Like, you can still go and see their play and scout them when they're playing the match, Like, practice is never really oh, I know this guy's secrets. Yeah, okay, but if like you probably see their weaknesses and strengths better when you watch them play an official match than in practice. So it doesn't really matter that much.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen quite a few times on YouTube that Sinner and Alcaraz seem to train against each other or together, you could say, quite a few times. So you don't think it makes too big a difference to their game?
Yeah, no, and then I mean, you make your game plan the day before when you find out who you're playing. Then you make your game plan, and then let's take Sinner and Alcaraz for example. Like I know Sinner is trying to work his best to like come up with a different plan next time they play, and then let's say if he wins, he's probably going to want to do that the next time again. But then it's Alcaraz's turn to try to find a different way to counter that the way Sinner beat him last time. You know.
And when you're getting ready to play a game, is there much strategy involved, or are you primarily thinking, let me play to my strengths, maybe I have a big serve, so that's what I'm just going to do? Do you think much about the overall strategy?
I think it's also based a lot what kind of player you are. Like for me, for example, I rely a lot on my strengths, and I try to focus on them mostly. Obviously, then if the opponent has a clear weakness, you try to want to attack that with your strengths. But then there are some guys who might not be the biggest servers or the biggest forehand hitters. Maybe they're good movers, so they probably want more to focus on the opponent's weaknesses. So like kind of player based. But there's a lot of tactics. I think the higher you go in level, like in the ATP tour, they have so much data of every player of every match. It's insane. Like it's to the point where I'm almost like, is this like fair anymore? You like, let's say I'm playing Alcaraz next week. I can ask the data, how often does he serve this specific spot when it's 30-all? And it will give you the answer 78% when it's 30-all, Alcaraz will serve to your forehand, for example, but in the ITF, you don't have that. You just kind of have to just go with the feel and that's it.
Moving on to a different topic that doesn't really get talked about much, it has to do with betting and social media. So it is relatively common for tennis players to get abused by some bettors that have lost money because they bet on them and maybe the tennis player lost that game. Can you explain a bit more about that, as I don't think it gets talked about enough?
So about the betting issue, it is what it is, like I'm sure everybody who's playing ITFs or challengers, even ATP, it's easy to just find the player on Instagram or Facebook and then just send them a message being very angry that hey, you lost my money, but usually they're not the kindest messages. I don't know. I can find you an example of the last one, for example, here. They're I just find them funny, it's all about how do you take them as a person, like they're behind the screen, they're losing money, they probably, they don't know what it is to be out there. They don't know what it is to be there alone. Like you're trying your best. Because I go out there, I pay from my own pocket thousands of euros to travel to a tournament. It's a lot more complex than just, hey, you're a bad tennis player. But I don't know how explicit this podcast can be, but he can cut it if he doesn't. He can bleep it if he doesn't want to include. But the last one on Thursday, I even won this match, which is funny. I think they're even funny when you win a match and they still get angry at you. So this guy just sends me useless piece of shit, get injury, and then rat emojis. A lot of the times they just send messages in their own language. I'm sure there's more. That this guy just said, die animal right now. So it's like they just insult you. Like they insult you, they insult your family, whatever. But like they're behind the screen. They just do it because they're angry. They're not really gonna come and find you. Like if they do, like fair enough. But I don't think people are that stupid to travel to Finland and find me at my home. They just send a message and get it out of their system.
Yeah, it's really something unfortunate. It's crazy that it even happens. And yeah, not many people really know that this is a thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's again, do you give it any like thought? You just read them,
Right.
and you forget about it. It's not. I mean, if you're really upset, I know one of my friends did respond to one of them. Like he was getting insulted after a tough loss, and then he was like, "Do you understand what I'm doing here? And like, can you
Right.
think about what you're like sending me? And like, I'm here fighting. Like, this is my job. I'm doing my best, and then you come here and insult me." And then the guy actually got like, he was very sorry about it. He was like, "Oh, I'm sorry," which is surprising. Usually, I was expecting the complete opposite response, but I don't think we're kind of allowed to talk to them. I don't know. There's a lot of like rules in terms of, like, let's say someone offers you money to fix a match,
Right.
you should
Right.
report that immediately, that person. But I've heard that if you report it, it's much better to just ignore it and like
Right.
delete the message. No, not, I don't know, delete it or not, but the process of just reporting it to the integrity unit, it's like you're gonna be in 50 emails after that, even if you just report it. And then you're like, I don't want to report it because then I'm going to have to deal with this for 6 months. Like I just
Right.
reported it. And then they're asking you, like, did you actually take the money? I'm like, no, I didn't. Are you sure? Like it's not worth it. I
It's
mean,
not worth it.
luckily I don't think I've ever had a single offer, but I know a lot of people do. But yeah, you just ignore them. They're like, if I think don't give them any of
Yeah.
your time.
Moving on to another topic, what do you think about paddle, pickleball, the rise of these other racket sports? Do you like it? Does it bother you at all?
Not really. I think it's more of a joke of. I mean, among some tennis players, they joke about, especially. I mean, I know pickleball is not very big in Finland. I know it's in the US, so I can't really talk about pickleball. But I know paddle is. We're kind of memeing like you retired tennis players and they're doing exercise and they're happy what they're doing. Like go ahead, do whatever you want to do. I don't know. The only weird thing in Finland, especially, is that the paddle players, they get a lot of sponsors and like deals and stuff like that. Much easier than tennis players. Also, they might not ever travel abroad. They just play tournaments in Finland, and they might have 3, 4, 5 sponsor deals. I have zero.
Oh,
I have zero at the
wow.
moment. I don't have a single one, and I'm traveling the world, and I'm almost in the top 500 tennis players in the world in the rankings, and I have no sponsors. And then I have these guys who go to work from 9 to 5, and then they play a little bit paddle, and they go play a weekend tournament in Finland, and they get this and that, and like, okay, I'm getting Wilson gear, which is nice, but I'm not getting any monetary help from anywhere.
Yeah, in my opinion, it's a much easier sport to play than tennis simply because not that many people have grown up playing paddle. It's obviously not as optimized
Yeah,
and competitive as tennis is because it's so
yeah,
new.
yeah, yeah. But again, like I don't like I find paddle very fun. Like I played it a lot when I was younger in Spain. I try to, if my friends ask me to go play here in Finland, I'll always go if I'm not too tired from practice. But again, it's tough as a professional athlete to go do sports in your free time because you're already tired from practice and you kind of just want to rest and be fresh for your tomorrow's practice. Or if you have an off day, you need to use that off day. You can't just call your coach like, hey, I can't come to practice, I'm gonna go play paddle. Like it's your job, so you have to do your job first, especially if you're trying to get to the top. You just can't really compromise. So I wish I would have more time to play paddle or golf or whatever, but
Yeah.
it's just not really possible.
And you touched a bit there on the topic of sponsors. In tennis, you don't actually earn a fixed salary. You're not really an employee of the ATP where you get a monthly salary. So can you touch a bit on how tennis players make money?
I mean, you can have sponsors. That's one.
Yeah.
Um, and then it's just based on how well do you play. If you win matches, you get more money. If you lose matches, you get less money. So I mean, you'll always get from ITF main draws, even if you're first round, you'll get a few $100. If you win, you get more. In ATP Challenger qualifying, you already get money as well, but in ITF qualifying, you don't get, based on how well do you play. The bigger the tournament is, the more prize money it has. Like you see, like players are, if you kind of want to break even, like if you want to make money as a tennis player, you kind of have to be top 250 in the world, because that then guarantees you 4 Grand Slam qualifyings.
Mm-hmm.
You get to play Australian Open, Wimbledon, French Open, and US Open qualies. And the prize money in there is so high that usually that guarantees you that you will break even. Obviously, it depends how much you pay your coaches and stuff like that. And then you obviously play the rest of the year. You'll get some prize money. If you do very well, you'll probably make money. But again, just making the Grand Slams will kind of give you that financial security that at least you won't lose money.
And for anyone below that, like let's say below the 250 mark in the world, does that mean that they're breaking even or even going into a loss to hopefully make a profit later?
Yeah. Again, it really depends how much you pay your coaches. Do you travel with a coach? Because traveling with a coach is very expensive. How much do you spend on travel? How much do you spend on food? Like you can always find ways to cut cost when traveling
Right.
or spend more. But I'd say if you're top 400 and you don't travel with the coach often, you probably break even. Like I would say for me this year, I've only traveled with my coach to a few tournaments. Right. And I usually try to like budget my traveling. I'd probably say I'm pretty much even. I mean, maybe I've lost some. I haven't really been counting that much, but then tennis players go play German league, they play Italian league, French league, where you get extra money with no cost, you know. So you'll always find ways to make a little extra buck.
So with these leagues that you mentioned, this is not ATP, ITF related?
No. It's just it's basically like in football you have La Liga or Premier League, you know, like you play the league. I think German league is the biggest because you have the Bundesliga, you have the Bundesliga 2, and in Bundesliga there's top 50 guys playing, you know, like the level is very high there. You don't get points, you just play for your team and the team tries to win the league, you know, and it's important for the clubs just try to win the league, try to win the Bundesliga, you know, the players are there to help the team and then they get paid for it.
And it works a bit more like a fixed contract in a way that you got to show up every week or every X.
Yeah. I mean, a team might have 20 players in the roster, and then whoever is available, they can go and play, and then they get a fixed amount per match. And if they win, maybe they have a winning bonus and stuff like that, you know.
And when you play Davis Cup, is that compensated at all?
Yes. I'm not sure about the rules, but I think you must be compensated in some way. Again, the contract varies in different countries. Every team has their own type of contract, and I think also the bigger the country, the higher the compensation. You know, let's take a Division 2 team that's very small. Maybe they have no players in the top 500 even. Like they're probably not getting very high compensation, but then we take Germany or like the bigger countries, they probably make good money from Davis Cup as well.
And yeah, even with sponsors, depending on where you're from as a tennis player, you can make a lot more than other players, even if you're ranked at a lower level. So for instance, I think a good example of that is Nishikori, who was a top 10 player, very, very good player in his own right. But he had probably one of the biggest contracts on tour with Uniqlo because it's a Japanese company.
Yeah, I mean, sponsors are, especially in the top 100, it kind of, you can make a lot of money with sponsors. But again, it's it depends a lot where you're from, like, and also how that country deals with tennis players. Finland is not very big in terms of tennis, so for a player like me, not a lot of people are interested in sponsoring me. Let's say I'm from a different country. I'd like to take example if I would be Estonian. For a small country, they're very involved in tennis. I'd probably have a few very good sponsors if I would be from there.
I see. So even playing at the exact same level that you play now, right?
Yes.
And one final question to do with where you grew up. I know that you played quite a lot of tennis in Spain in your early years. Can you explain why so many people want to play in Spain and like the training there?
I don't really know. I think because it's just a big tennis country, it's always been. I think it doesn't really matter if you go France or Italy or Spain. They're all big tennis countries in Europe. It's just the culture. I think the sport is so big in that country that the culture helps to have better quality of coaches. Also the methods of coaching is different. Like I remember in Spain, they were all like so pumped and trying to, like, the intensity was high, and then you come to Finland and the intensity is low. The coaches are not there like really trying to make you the best player in the world. They're there to coach you. They do their job, but they're not really like pushing you to the limits. Whereas in Spain, it doesn't matter if you're a bad player. They know you're not going to be the best in the world. They're still like trying to make you the best in the world, and I think that's, again, it's just the sports culture and different. Like you take Finland, then ice hockey is big, like if you're an ice hockey player, you probably want to come to Finland to train. And if you're a tennis player, you probably want to go to Southern Europe to train.
And thanks so much for your time, Eero. Just one final question. Out of the people is there someone that you would say could be a good next guest here for the podcast?
Any sport or tennis?
Up to you, honestly.
Tough question. I don't have any names in my head right now, but I can text you if I have anyone.
Awesome. Thanks so much for your time.
No, thank you.